Welcome, where we delve into the heart of topical Nigerian issues, one story at a time. My name is Melanie Ishola. Now, $200 million worth of investment today goes down for the realization of a 1 trillion naira 47-kilometer Lagos-Calabar project. And this is a road project. The realization of the Lagos-Calabar coastal highway project has brought a mix of anticipation as well as dismay, particularly at Landmark Beach Resort, where the once thriving business and leisure activity now face uncertainty amidst impending, and this is no longer impending really, an actual demolition. Today we have a topic on our hands and we're looking at Landmark Beach demolition for Lagos-Calabar construction, counting the costs. And I am really thrilled to be joined by Deji Akinpelu. Deji Akinpelu is an environmental advocate and co-founder Rethinking Cities. And he with me will be shedding light on what we need to know about the parting the way for Lagos-Calabar Coastal Highway for letting go of the Landmark Beach Resort. Now, very quickly, recently we realized, and of course it was everywhere in the news, that Paul Onwanibe, the CEO of Landmark Group, was taken aback by a letter from the Lagos State government issuing a 7-day eviction notice and demolition warning for the 200 million Landmark Beach Resort. So many questions really to ask at a point like this, but I would like to quickly drive straight to the point. On the lip of many Nigerians, the major concern would then be the actual 80 businesses and the over 4,000 jobs that would directly be lost as a result of the demolition of the Landmark Beach Resort. And so, Deji Akinpelu, good evening and great to have you on the program.
Good evening and thank you for having me. It's a great pleasure to be here.
Indeed, and I know that you are quite passionate about talking environmental issues of rebuilding cities and urban, development. Now, on the heel of this development, first of all, I'd like to have your take on how you interpreted this. Do you say this is one sacrifice that we need to make, or are you saying that this is something that we could have done without?
Well, thank you for the opportunity once again. It's quite a very interesting development that pretty much needs everybody's attention right now. Though we saw pretty much on my own end, we've always seen this long coming, right from the days where first evictions have been carried out in the city of Lagos. And we have always been in the forefront of the cry that things need to be done properly. But most unfortunately, the middle class itself, or some of us who don't feel like we are concerned, we never see or we never think to ourselves that maybe one day I too may become a victim of this. It's quite sad. And somebody sent me, I belong to a WhatsApp group, and somebody wrote, he said, the only person who will be pained by this landmark demolition is somebody who has never attempted to build anything in their life. If you've never built anything, you probably feel like, okay, do you know what? Come on, what was there? But there's a whole lot for us to look at in this. How we have also used the instrument of um, legal to probably satisfy the wants and the desires of a few within the city. Of course, there's the overriding laws around the fact that every land belongs to the government. The Land Use Act empowers the government. Also, upon that is that the federal government, 100 meters along the coastal region, pretty much is to the federal inland waterways or whatever. So there are several legal instruments that speaks to probably the need, the the workability of or the need or something that will enable this eviction to happen.
Mm.
However, we pretty much also again and again need to question what again is really, really development. I mean, the speed at which this development of the coastal road is going is probably one of the fastest developments I have probably seen in the history of Nigeria. Uh, Pretty much also linked to this coastal project and the contractor, the Shagori family, is also the Eco-Atlantic project, where also this coastal road is going to kick off from. We all are aware of the controversy around the construction of Eco-Atlantic City, um, issues around environmental as impact assessment. You know, what is very worrisome is why so much hurry in all of this. You know, you are
Yes.
trying to use the instrument of compensation is coming in. Is it really, how much of compensation can you really even pay for the time that has gone in terms of trying to build an institution or an organization or an infrastructure like that? How much compensation will really, really go into it? The man who
Thank
has
you.
the infrastructure, yeah, will get his money, but what about those people who are making their livelihood from that venture? This is not to say that government shouldn't embark on development projects, but timing, the way and manner the timing is going is a bit
The
worrisome.
how of doing it. Thank
The
you,
how.
Deji. Thank you.
Yeah.
Yes. Thank you, Deji Akipelu. You have set the tone for me in ways I believe that would help us have a meaningful conversation in a pretty much short period, right? Now, looking at all that you've touched on, the Land Use Act of Nigeria, where the land belongs to the federal government, and the fact that the instrumentality of the law is also being used by the Lagos state government to pursue this demolition, in which case you could argue, right, that it is to the benefit of the state and somewhat to the detriment of individual businesses. But may we quickly look at what this sort of decision and how fast it's being implemented as well means for the preparedness of the business and business owner, in this case, Landmark, right? And equally look at what it means for the budding business startups in Nigeria, for people who have quite ambitious goals and businesses to set up, damning all macroeconomic, microeconomic influences on the business environment and the economic environment we have in Nigeria, still want to pursue a thriving business to the tone of an international standards like we had in Landmark. What do you think that this sort of decision and actual demolition that we had started today, what do you think that means for an average youth with these ambitions?
The impact of such demolitions, be it a big property like Landmark, or the demolition that has happened several years back in Otodogbame, they all carry the same characteristics. To the point that we've had people lose their lives, people developing health problems, people losing their livelihood. It is not so much about the bigness or the smallness of the effect, is that a government in itself deliberately takes an action that affects people negatively. Well, how do you want to quantify? I mean, I've not done the mathematics, but from what I've seen about evictions, be it in formal or informal communities, or the one being carried out presently by the Lagos state government, uprooting shanties, or
yes,
it's
the one going on in Agege, yes,
it is diverse with several, not just monetary effect, psychological effect. I have seen people I've met a woman who lost a child because of a forced eviction that happened in Otodogbame several years back, and gave birth to another child the same day. Lost a child that day of the eviction, gave birth to another child that very day of eviction.
That was the pregnant woman you just
Yes,
described.
she was pregnant. So but when she saw the eviction started, the child jumped into
forced
water,
labor, forced labor.
drowned. Yeah, and she went into labor. Trying to quantify that loss, and which timing, right proper timing would have helped to probably cushion. Okay, by next year, we are going to start off this project. Okay. I mean, I watched the video of the demolition, I think on Rufai's Twitter, and it's been a busy day for me, but I managed to, and I like, I mean, it's just so sad. Now, let me go to this point of timing. And for the Lagos state government, I know that this is a federal government project, but it's the same manner and the same attitude that the Lagos State Commissioner for Environment has been going around giving people 7 days notice to evacuate locations. Is that the right way for us to address the issues around homelessness? To think in our minds that people don't deserve to live. What is your alternative? So what is the alternative that you have provided? It's a character, it's the mannerism that has developed over the years. But now technically, people now go, the government now goes round to say, okay, we are giving you 7 days, we are giving you 14 days. Who among us, if you are to live where you are today and you have only 7 days, you'll be able to really settle yourself. It's really worrisome. It's really, really worrisome. So in the same government who got Magodo 2 on development on public interest is right now facing a court case by the indigents, the original owners of the land, because it was never used for the point intended. And the same government is trying to protect that same housing from going down. But the same government is acting with speed and with action to pull down another property when you are also trying to protect another property that you have been in error over its development.
So you clearly have stated some double standards here, Deji. And I know that in the past you have, being an environmental advocate, you have equally spoken not just for demolitions of this magnitude, but equally spoken to demolitions that one could consider possibly of lesser magnitude, but equally of great impact. I speak of the recent auto demolition that just took place a couple of weeks ago. And we can even go way back as the Woroshoki demolition of 2023. We can go way back to the Lupiri demolition and so on and on. But when we look at all of this, somehow demolitions also have ecological impact, right? And in this specific case, the presence of landmark beach resort, would you say it had any environmentally sustainable impact, right, on citizens of Lagos, on the entire well-being of Lagos?
No, there's no environmental effect that if anything that maybe was the issue around the development of beaches around is the commercialization of beaches around the coastal regions of Lagos, where the common man, I grew up going to Bar Beach. Now there's nothing of such, so there is no environmental reason rather than for the fact that, okay, we want to build an highway for the good of people to be able to move from the city of Lagos down to Calabar. I know also you were trying to drive home the point around the impact, and this also speaks largely to our ability later on to attract foreign direct investment. So it is not just longer, oh, do you have a project on merit, or you have your titles. It's now so much that you know somebody who is in power that can ensure that nothing will override it, to say. So it's really a bad posture for us for investment. So what it speaks and it tells you right now is that there is nothing that you can build in the city of Lagos or probably in Nigeria that you are sure, you are guaranteed that you can have it for life. Even in the absence of the fact that it has no environmental effect or whatever. Government is just saying, okay, in view of overriding public interest, I am going to come into this and I want to build this hospital. Yes, the law is there, but it is also something that we need to begin to question. Are people beginning to use this instrument to satisfy their own egos, or to make it happen for their friends and family. You understand?
Indeed,
It's
because
really,
there's been a question around the awarding of the contract of the Lagos-Calabar coastal highway construction. And
yeah.
then you begin to ask yourself, why is it happening so fast? And then to whom it belongs to construct and all of these things. And to these other businesses and individuals who are being affected. And essentially, I'd say a lot of Nigerians home and abroad who have some sort of attachment, right, to that leisure activity and such as Landmark provides, and not to now stand like I'm providing some sort of advocacy for Landmark. I mean, painful as it is, we understand that the government also has to perform, right, the function of a government. In the end, it's expected to deliver, I mean, some more gains to a vast majority of Nigerians when the road construction is successful. Now, but in the interim, I'm interested in looking at how the government and the private sector can collaborate more, and if they can do this more effectively as well in ensuring that development projects are conducted in an environmentally responsible manner. So if, for example, if Landmark knew when this was being constructed that, oh, there is such project as this in the future, would say that such impact as now that the business is having to go through would be somewhat a bit mitigated. Possibly they put in place some measures to ensure that this was just a sort of short-term business on such a piece of real estate as this is. That could have affected the kind of construction, the sort of investment and whatnot. But as we see it today, Landmark was quote unquote, I mean, a lot of people have said, and I've read on the internet, built to last, you know, built to world standards. And people have come to say, I mean, see, the CEO of Landmark himself has invested himself, speaking of Paul Nwanibe, has invested himself so much and so excellently in defending his investment on that. So how do you see a possible collaboration in the future for a better economic and business environment?
Um, for me, I think the legal instrument being used here, I've always advocated for pretty much the review of the Land Use Act. I think it's one instrument that is being used by federal government and state governments to really carry out some acts that are quite unnecessary. We need other alternatives. We need pretty much a different approach. Yes, evictions can happen or will happen to make way for public good, but the modus operandi needs to be spelled out. And this is also for our lawmakers. Is it sufficient for you to and it's not, I've had cases, government have said, oh, we've been writing letters and we've been having engagement XYZ years and cool. You know, even if according to the law that the government is riding on, even if Landmark had all the if there was even no project planned before Landmark set out, if a new project comes in, that building is going to go. That's what the provision of the law makes. You understand? So it is also now to say that to ourselves that, okay, if you're going to be, if something is going to affect a business or a particular land of this magnitude, what should be the time span for execution? What should be the clear payments that needs to be made or compensations that needs to be made? Those businesses, do they have the opportunity of a 2-year period to wind down? I mean, is the Lagos, people have asked, some people have asked, I don't know how much of the impact the road is going to have. Yes, definitely it's going to have a big impact, but is it the most urgent project that we need in the city of Lagos,
in Nigeria today?
Nigeria right now? I mean, how urgent is it than for Nigerians to actually have electricity right now, or for us to have fuel in our car? You understand? I think Nigerians are probably more concerned about that and security. You understand? Than somebody, if only with this speed is the same way we are trying to get back our refineries, I think Nigerians will be happier for it. The action is the speed at which it's being done is quite commendable. But if it can be extended to other areas of the economy that Nigerians are more interested in, I think the government will have more applause than what we are witnessing right now.
Yeah.
It's pretty sad,
Okay.
but
Yes.
we can't continue like this. Measures needs to be put in place. Checks needs to be put in place so that people don't use the law, or those who are in power uses the law just to satisfy their own wishful thinking.
Thank you, Deji Akinpelu, and I wouldn't hold you longer than necessary, but I think it's really key that we touch on lessons, right? Key lessons that can't be drawn from similar projects or others who are looking to venture into similar projects, right? So that we can improve transparency and stakeholder participation. So, I mean, for me now, I'm thinking, because we say, I mean, for a while now, we've been shouting there's the ease of doing business in Nigeria and what's not. The unemployment rate in Nigeria is not even encouraging enough. We're saying, can we have more businesses spring up? And this is such a business that affects directly 400 people. You can then imagine how many indirectly benefit from this business. So what lessons can we draw? What lessons do you think that budding entrepreneurs can draw, and essentially possibly those from the outside coming to invest within the country?
Sincerely, I don't know lessons here, other than the fact that, man, this is just an irresponsible act of the government. I don't know what lessons I will have to draw or what caution. So it's almost as if I'm supposed to tell people what cautious steps they need to make. Other than maybe people are clearly in error, you are building in the wrong places, or do your correct legal check and all of that. But in this case, this is a very big visible business. And it's not happening for the very first time. These are projects that you would have seen the governor, the president who went there on the day of opening, celebrated with them, did everything with them. You know, we've had tech companies in this country that they were well received by the state government, and 6 months later they were banned. It's really a case of the government rethinking its actions. I don't think it's about what I have to learn. It's a government proving irresponsible. I'm very sorry to say. I'm very, very, very sorry to say.
And I think that's equally a learning point. It's a learning curve. In this case, just not, I would want you to put the lessons. We are putting it on the side of the government.
Yeah, I am putting it on the side of government. I'm very, very sorry to say, but on the side of the people, the big lesson, on the other hand, is that we all should learn to stand up for what is clearly injustice. And we speak up. You see, because it's not your turn today, I can guarantee you it's going to become your turn tomorrow. You fold your hands and you see something being done. You understand? You look at, oh, landmark is landmark, it doesn't concern me and all of that. It's coming to your neighborhood. It's your own house that is coming to. And the same government will cut the same law. It will hurt you there. That's why we're saying the lesson for me is that we need to begin to review these laws. We need to begin to set out guidelines. It is not about a commissioner going on the streets and saying, I give you 7 days. No. What should be the standard procedure? What does the law say? What should be the provision for the people? Listen, you're making it look like homelessness is a crime. Homelessness is not a crime. In other parts of the world, people are making provisions for it. What is your own provision? You understand? So it's really, yes, the lesson for the people here right now is that take it. If it's not happening to you today, it doesn't mean it won't happen to you tomorrow. So that is why it is important that we all look at the law and begin to tell our lawmakers and say, hey, we need to review these things.
That's right.
Properly, so that people, the effect of things can be cushioned. The other day, the commissioner came up and banned styrofoam in 3 days, immediate effect. No, we are not in a military government where people just give orders and say with immediate effect, this has to go, this building has to go, this type of business has to stop. Who does that? This is a democracy, for goodness sake.
Thank you, Deji. And on a final note, I mean, just as Mr. Paul Onwanibe was given 7 days for is evacuation and notice of demolition. Nigerians are asking, would you also, according to what the Minister of Works, Senator Dave Umahi said, would you also, in that quick succession, get the compensation that has been promised? And I think for me, are there guidelines set in stone for such obtainment of compensations?
Like I said, it's a big loss for the man. Well, it's a very, very big one. But he's not the only one who is involved right now. Is that if at all he gets his own compensation, which I cannot, you see, it's for the amount of time traveling abroad, having business meetings and co-installations. I mean, you cannot even pay him enough compensation. But probably he's a businessman, he's going to bounce back, he has insurance, he has this. But there are several young people who are tied to that business, small businesses. I've been to that beach before, I've stayed there before. I know the kind of activities that go on there. Those people, their jobs, it's all gone. Those people will not have any form. The compensation doesn't get to them. There are several other people who are tied to it, that no matter what form of compensation you want to raise, it will never get to them. Their losses can be minimal compared to him, but look at that devastation. The big question has always been, oh, what was wrong with the alternative? Why couldn't we stay with what was the original plan? You understand? And again, the concept of walking around the city as built is something that we are also ignoring. Considering the fact that a good number of development has happened in a particular area, you need to begin to creatively think of, if you're doing additional development now, how can we do this new development in such a way that it doesn't impact existing infrastructure that has been in existence for years? Let us reduce it. Let us reduce the impact. It will always have an impact. But when you do it without any sense of human, how does 7 days eviction sounds like you are being human to somebody? How does that sound like you're being considerate? If not for the fact that the business is a big business and the person is a big person. In fact, what makes me wonder is that, oh, for those of us who advocate for urban poor communities, if he cannot get this sorted out, so what is the hope of even the common?
What is the fate of the urban poor?
That person who is facing forced eviction in Makoko? What is the hope of the people in Oworonshoki? What is the hope of the people in Otom who are going through this same thing? It's very, very sad. And the government needs to act with a more of an human face.
Thank you. Thank you, DG Akinpelu. And I've been speaking with DG Akinpelu. He's an environmental advocate and founder of Thinking City. Today we've spoken to the landmark beach demolition for Lagos-Calabar construction, road construction, counting the costs. My name is Melanie Ishola. Thank you for joining us. And this is Nigeria Today. Until we come your way again with another story of a topical nature in the country. Do enjoy the rest of your evenings.